this will tell you where the predator is located. If the predator is behind you, you will feel the hair on the back of the neck. If the predator is on the right or left, goose pimples, shivers, or wind will be on.
Oh, we're safe. I got a good rifle in the house, like a semi-automatic.
The judge is in there.
That's coming from up there now.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Can you get comments on the chat? Hello, hello, hola, osio, shalom, howdy. We will start with our first verse, or we'll have several verses tonight. 1 Peter 5:8, and we refer to this verse often. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. And we will say a prayer over the show. Thank you, Lord, for being here. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for giving us the knowledge that we need. Thank you for giving us discernment to sit through the knowledge that's out there. And we thank you for the people that are here to view and those that will view in the future. We thank you for your covering and protection that is always over us. And we bless you. We bless you, Father. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. We have 3 Facebook pages: Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers and Surrounding Areas. We have Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMBMAN, and Sun Center and Database. And we have the LeadTrackerE. We have the LeadTrackerE Facebook page. Sorry, he's swiping the screen. And we also have the LeadTrackerE YouTube channel, as well as this channel. So like and subscribe to all those things so you can get all the information that we put out.
Also, the Bigfoot documentary, $101. It's a documentary a lot of our trackers helped with, but it's a lot of places and information that you need. We also have the new book out, Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. We're also going to be talking about that book tonight also. That is $25. Right now we have it on PDF, and you can use the Cash App that's on the screen also and get that. We're going to be talking a lot about other things that warriors do, but that book is very important. I would call it a warrior's handbook, actually. Also, our Patreon.
Patreon?
Oh yeah, the Patreon. I forgot. But the Patreon membership also, if you'd like to be involved with our morning tracker talks, that is a private tracker meeting, but the Patreon members do and are included and join in, and as everybody knows, eventually becomes trackers with us and helps us in the field with information. But you also get all your answers there also. But that link is in the description as well. And any amount is works with the Patreon. Come and join us in the room and learn as much as you can. And we're going to be talking about things like that also. There's still a smudge on there. I just hate.
Is it
Yeah.
on the camera side?
Let me see.
I'm trying to clean a spot. Our address is P.O. Box 655, Antlers, Oklahoma, 74543. 74523. Sorry. What else?
Or just to support the channel, Cash App, Patreon, and PayPal is all also in the link. But the new book, Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path, is a very important book. It's a warrior's handbook, like we were talking about. A lot of our trackers have this book already. A lot of people do. And some of the reviews we've posted here also, or on our Facebook pages as well. Also in the description below, we have links for Tracking and Deterrence 101 for homeowners. We also have that trailer, a link in the trailer in the description as well. But the entire video is 3 hours of how we help deter predator Bigfoots, how we identify that is the problem. It's all in that video. You'll hear the sounds, you'll see the thermals, the night vision. That link is also in the description below. We also have a spiritual house cleansing video with Jerry Williams and LeadTrackerE also in the description below. And that is how we spiritually clean homes and houses. It's very important that you use those techniques also. You may have your own techniques. I would say or suggest just look at it, and it may help you in one way or the other, or give you a tip on how to do certain things. And if you've never spiritually cleaned your house, it would be a great video to watch and learn from also. Let's see. Any shout outs now?
Well, we'd like to say hi to Las Venturas, which is also Oklahoma Adventures. We will be tracking with them hopefully this weekend. So we want to say hi to them. We'll see them soon. We'll be working on a few projects together as well. There's some other great channels. TrackerElla, if you're here, drop your link in there. It's TrackerElla is the name of her channel. Life's Adventures, Keeping It Real. That's a great channel.
And your channel, of course.
I said that one earlier.
Oh, okay.
LeadTrackerE.
Oh, okay.
Any of our trackers, please put your links in the description if you want them in there.
Also, check out Walter Nightmares. Check his link out too, his channel. He's doing some good things. Also, this is not an open forum. Here we give lessons and we teach, or we do interviews and help people who need assistance right now on techniques on deterring Bigfoots. This is a tracker channel. We teach here. It's not for entertainment. It's for teaching. But we do ask that our trackers and our friends help monitor the comment section to make sure nothing gets out of hand. And we do answer questions pertaining to the topic or the lesson of the night at the end of the lesson. So if you can save those questions for the end. Most of the time we're not even looking at the comments, and that's why we need assistance from our trackers and from our friends who has been with the channel for a while. Just monitor that for us, please. We're not paying attention to that because we're working on what we're trying to share. Also, we'll be doing some more tracking with two different individual groups. And we will be posting either some live with that or some after we get done tracking. So you're going to want to see those videos also. So be a little patient and wait for those. We should have both up by the end of the week, or maybe by Sunday or Monday. But we're going to be back in the field. We're recouped enough, I guess. I'm starting to walk again, good. So we're going to get back out there and do our part. And some of the other trackers are coming in to help out. And we're going to help them out with certain things also.
If you do have questions, just make notes during the lesson, write them down, and then type them at the end. And we'll go through the comments. When we begin, read everybody's greetings, shout out to everybody, and then we will answer questions after the lesson.
We did do one track a day or two ago. It wasn't a track, it was a scout, because my leg wasn't ready yet. I mean, it's starting to get to where it needs to be. But I got these tracks coming up, so I wasn't going to risk it. But we went to this other place that's in the documentary, in the DVD, and to look at, what's changed. And when we got there, there's more bows, there's more breaks, there's more blinds. They're telling us that these Bigfoots, or these three especially, are sitting on their front porch at night. They come up to their home and sit on their front porch. Bigfoots do. There's some that's in their forest line. They got some there sitting and watching them. They notice groups of Bigfoots in their area, but they're not willing to disturb them. So since we checked on them again, the traps and everything have gotten closer to the home, to where it's just like 10 foot behind their back corner, dark area. And now
throwing the rocks at the dogs.
They're throwing rocks at the dogs as well. And like we were saying, they're right up on their front porch every night. And they've caught some in their shed on camera going across. So that's all going on in their area. It's a place we can help with, but they just don't want to disturb anything right now, even though these traps are getting closer and closer and closer. But we told them that they can call us anytime. We're not real far. We'll come right over and help them out if they need some help. That's all we can do right now. We can't force people to start deterring and getting these things out of the area, getting your neighbors involved and getting it further out of your area, and keep pushing them out. But we will help if they do call us. What's on the bottom?
The bottom is question. We already covered.
Oh, okay. And so we're going to do the comments first and say hello to who's all here, and that's LeadTrackerE's department. And then we'll get started with the lesson, which is about the warrior's path, the spiritual warrior's path, and things that we all need to do, but also also the new book, Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. This book is just out recently. It's very important. Every warrior needs to have this book. Every grandparent, every parent, if it was a child of reading age, get them this book so they know what to look for, and we've had a lot of reviews already, all great reviews. And also people will tell you that they feel safer because now they know what's there, what to look for, how to be cautious about everything. There's so much information in this book. It's not a play book. We're not going to tell you a story of, there are a couple of actual things that happen with our own trackers, with this own tracking team. It's not someone that you don't know. It's all these things that's been with this tracking team. Even the video that was right before this, it showed a Bigfoot in the tree. And if you're just now getting here, I might as well play that one short clip again real fast before we get started. With the comments, I want to show you this again in case you missed it. And then we'll do the comments and then we'll start our lesson. And here's a Bigfoot in the tree. If you look about right here in the film, this is where it's at. just to let you pinpoint first, but you're going to see it up in the tree moving back and forth. I mean, the head, it's hanging sideways, almost pure black, except for the face, but you can see the face and the head moving up in this area. So pay attention to that. It is in that DVD also. These are clips from that DVD. And you will see Bigfoots in that DVD also.
Physically, your feelings and senses will tell you where the predator is located. If the predator is behind you, you will feel the hair on the back of the neck. If the predator is on the right or left, goose pimples, shivers, or wind will be on.
And I hope you understand, you just seen a Bigfoot in a tree moving its head. You just seen a Bigfoot. So if you're with this channel, you have seen a Bigfoot. So there's no saying I've never seen one before. A lot of people haven't seen a bear or a koala until somebody brought it to them or showed it to them. So now you have seen a Bigfoot. If you want to rewind this and watch it again over and over and over, you have seen a Bigfoot. So there should not be any non-believers on this channel today, for sure.
Okay, we're gonna greet Tracker C. Hello.
Hello, Tracker C.
Linda, pray we must. Hello.
All right, Linda.
Bob is here. Hey, Bob.
All right, Bob.
Tennessee's here.
Tennessee.
Let's see.
Great.
Greetings, greetings, greetings.
Great.
Julian's here. Hey, Julian.
Julian. Hey, Julian.
Julian's a new viewer with us and a good friend. Christian's here. Hey, Christian.
Christian. All right, Christian. That's Argentina, right?
Chile.
Oh, Chile.
And everything else is greetings. And Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says the smudge looks like Tracker E took a glamour shot. We're keeping the smudge.
Okay.
That works. Okay, everybody's caught up on the, and hello everybody.
Yeah, I don't know why it's smudged. So I'm gonna try it one more time. It's still there.
And Mary just
Hey,
came
there's
into
Mary.
Hey, Mary.
Yeah, usually whenever I try to clear a smudge or push a button, the whole
We
thing
dropped
shuts
the phone,
down or
so
the
we're
phone
doing
falls
good.
down.
Yeah,
So.
we're fine.
Okay, so tonight we're talking about the warrior's path, warrior's duties, responsibilities, and the Predator, Bigfoot, and the Spiritual Warrior's Path book. It's very important that people get that book. You can order it through the Cash App here, $25. We'll send it right out to you. It's PDF form. And we were kind of liking that idea because the PDF form, it's a big sheet. So you have the top, you have a book that's going to stand out also. If it's in a PDF, you pull it open. It's something that you put it anywhere, someone's going to sit down and pull it open and open it. And those would be great for family members who don't believe you if you've seen a Bigfoot before, or if you run into a skeptic or something, just show them that book. I mean, it's got everything they need to learn and know that these things are real and where they're at. Or just have them watch this video, and whatever the time limit was right there at 20 minutes probably, they can see a Bigfoot if they'd like. But there's a lot of misinformation about the warriors, which we're going to correct here. But also the warriors are the teachers. The warriors, men and women. Warriors are not just men, and warriors are not just women, but even the children are warriors. And we have to teach the children. We have to show the children. And we do that by even like our war games or even training for battle, and anything can be training for a child or for a warrior. It can be just sitting and being quiet. It can be stealthy. But we place the children in the most strategic place for them to watch us. But we also train them as well. But we have someone to supervise watching the children, because the men and women will be training together in the Warrior Society. And as things and days that are here right now, every man, woman, and child needs to reconnect with their warrior inside, or the warrior person.
The definition of a warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. Doesn't say anything about age or gender.
Yeah, we I was talking with a tracker, one of our trackers, and something about age and maybe a little too old to be a warrior, but you know, we kept our conversation, and we know that warriors have warriors have no age, um, and I would say the older and more experienced, the better. Um, those people know. Um, now, the warriors, whenever we teach other warriors, whenever we teach children, but children are just young warriors. Children are small warriors. We don't teach the fight or flight. We teach calmness and control. No one teaches that, but warriors, you have to teach that calmness. You have to teach that control. Too many things can happen and people react to that. Predator Bigfoots, when they bluff charge, people react to that. Warriors don't react to that. You stand firm, you get ready. You know it's time, it's warrior, it's time for war right now. But we teach the calmness, we teach the control. You gotta, it's just like muscle memory. You have to teach that and teach it. We were talking the other day with Vault and Cat about training in cold water. You know, train to hold your breath in cold water, because a lot of drownings, and if your boat is tipped over by a Bigfoot or something, you got to hold that breath, because if you fall into cold water, first thing you're going to do is open your mouth, and if all they got to do is just hold you for a little bit, because you done open and suck down all that water. I know it's tricky, but it's just like the mind protection technique. It takes training. So teach that calmness. And remember, when you're talking to what people would call children, these are warriors. These are the next warriors. These are the ones, you can't leave them vulnerable. You've got to give them as much information as you possibly can. Share everything. We're talking about how these young children today, they need to be out there training. They need to be running. These times that people are talking about coming are already here. We know what's out there. We've already seen what's going on. Everyone needs to start training. We need warriors ready. The children need to be ready. Teach them, and every warrior has to know, every family has to know how to use weapons, how to protect themselves, how to get in touch with each other. These young children, these young warriors need to know that. Talk to them as young warriors, as you would talk to a young warrior. Explain to them.
This relates also to even humans, the kids at school. If everyone was taught to be a warrior, a bunch of children wouldn't be sitting ducks cowering in a corner, because that's what they were trained to do. Everyone would be fighting and putting stops to the bullies.
And if you had all of them trained, there wouldn't be any fights at any school, because everyone would know everyone's trained. Right. You can't pick on anybody. The children, I used to tell a lot of tribes every time I visit that the reason these children are throwing tantrums and being angry and frustrated and they're bored and they're, you know, it's because they're not getting their teachings. If we had, well, if those groups had been teaching, those children would have been, you know, after school running, you would have got your homework done, whatever. But then you would have went to another foreman training, another foreman studying. You're getting your sleep patterns. You know, you're not falling into an 8-hour sleep pattern. It's 2 to 4 hours. Those children would have, they would be so thankful because they're learning, they're training, they've got something to do every day, and they know it's important because their parents and their teachers, their instructors are there with them, showing them hand by hand, hands-on training, I guess you'd say, and explaining how important it is that they have to know all these things, all these ways. So everything has a time and place. Train them with the weapons, train them with the staff, train them with mixed martial arts, train them with boxing, train them with the weapon, uh, train them with the slingshot, train them with a bow, mixed martial arts. Teach them hieroglyphs, teach them ancient languages, teaching them ancient symbols, so they're able to read all these things and nothing gets past them. And also, warriors know the difference between hearing and listening. Now, if you're hearing, you could be right now, you could be writing a note. You could be talking on the phone. You could be talking to your spouse. And that's what we had asked beforehand, was that, if you're just the mother or the father or the son, and you're the only one interested in all this information, ask that you give the rest of the house, give you 1 hour or 2 hours just so you can watch this. But if you're distracted, if you got the iPod, the headphones, even if they're around your neck, that's only hearing. You're not listening to what we're saying, what we're trying to give you and help you in as far as being a young warrior. And then these are warrior talks and warrior paths. So we're not talking about anybody. We're talking about everybody. But they know the difference between listening and hearing. And what makes a warrior a better warrior? There's a couple of warriors on here that know that answer. But the answer is knowledge. That warrior who listened, that warrior who trained, that warrior who learned everything they could, that's a better warrior. I mean, you can still have the same physical body, the same everything, but that one that listened knows how to use that spear, knows how to get across that river, knows how to rappel, knows how to low crawl and things like that. Also, all the other parents, the uncles, the aunts, the men, the women, even another young warrior, correct each other. When you see them, like even in stickball, the other day I'd met with some friends, and I could see a young man having a little trouble with his sticks, and we were having a tracker meeting, and so I could see him, having problem with his sticks, but we were having a meeting here, but as soon as everybody got loaded up for a practice, that I had just a little bit of time to run over there, and I went over there and helped him and switched his hands up and showed him how to grab, pick up, throw real fast. And then we went out to the field a little while later, and you could see him picking up and throwing and shooting, but I was helping a couple guys out there. But show them, get that hands on, get in there, and correct them if they're doing wrong things. Correct them. They know that if you correct them, if you're that person, that teacher, that instructor, the one that's been helping them, they're going to listen to you. They're not going to doubt you one bit, especially if you're there every day. Teach them, teach them, teach them, teach them, and teach them. Have patience. Have patience with, especially if you're training new people. But everyone needs to be trained. You need to train people. Patience is very important to that. Listening to them also is important. But while you're training, you're just training. That's all you're doing. In training, you're not talking about a problem over here. You're not talking about a problem over there. When you're training, this is what you got to do. If you've ever been in basic training and you didn't know how to low crawl, when you went through that firing range, there could have been accidents. And there have been accidents. So I also have patience with them. You know, go over it again. There's no reason to yell at them. There's no reason to shout. There's no reason to hit. Teach them. Be patient. You know, keep your voice calm. They'll be calm. Just go over it again. It's not a big deal. If there's a mistake made, it's not a big deal. No reason to get upset with a young warrior. Take your time. Let's do it again. Let's do it till we get it right. And test that young warrior again. Every chance you get. Teach them to be very observant. They have to know their surroundings. They have to know what their yard looks like. They have to know what the park where they play at looks like. So there's no changes, and they'll notice changes if they are. Be very honest with them. Have them be honest with you. Talk to them and let them know they can tell you anything. If they see a dark shadow or something that doesn't make sense to a different person, let it make sense to you. Figure it out. Or do the training and train them. Get that manual or the Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path book. Get that, read it, go through that, learn it. Most people who have told us have said that they've read it over and over, or they're going back over it, because there's so much information in it. Teach them to use their feelings, their natural body's feelings. This is like when the hair on the back of the neck stands up. That lets you know there's a predator behind you. If you feel the goose pimples on your right side, that predator's on your right side. On the left side, the shiver, you could have a wind go by you on that side. Know that something just caused that wind to go by. Feel for everything. You can use your eyes to feel. Your body will tell you. Whenever you look at, like if you're having a picnic, you can look out there. What's a good energy place? Or come up to a park, or even one of those rest areas pulling up. If you pull up next to your car, you don't have a good feeling, back out. Go to the next one. Trust your feelings. I believe that LeadTrackerE has a story about stingrays. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good example of going crabbing in a bay in Houston, and I didn't like the whole area that the friends were trying to take us to. I just didn't like it. That was it. It was just a feeling of repulsion. But I let them talk me into going in there with our kid too. And when we were in there, jellyfish got the little girl entangled all up in her legs. The more that she thrashed around, the worse it got. By the time it was done, it was all the way up to her waist, just with the big whelps on it. If we had only gone to the other side of the bay, and if I had stood my ground and said, no, well, y'all can go in, but my girl and I will sit here on the bank, that would have been that's a regret that I have. So trust those instincts. Even if you think somebody's going to call you difficult or think you're foolish, stand your ground when you have that feeling, that instinct.
Especially if you're out in the field. If you get a feeling, trust that feeling. Actually, I was going to see if LeadTrackerE might also tell us about the one time where we couldn't see anything. But
back there by that pond.
Yeah,
this was
Mississippi Res.
This was at a reservation in Mississippi, and it's an area where the whole little community is terrified of this little patch of woods that is there. Horses have been raped. The bows are worked right. The Bigfoot bows are worked, which are these things, these severely arched trees that are not natural. They were weaved right into the horse corrals in the area. Kids wouldn't play in there anymore. Hunters wouldn't go in there anymore. And they asked us to track it. We walked back to the pond, and I think now it's happened twice, but that was the only place at that time that we had ever become so uncomfortable that we both drew our weapons and backed on out of there. And as soon as we got back out of the woods, looked back, and there was a big black Bigfoot standing right there behind a tree that had followed us out. And there's never just one, there's always many, but just another example.
We're talking like a juvenile. It's only about 8 foot, I think. I mean, at the distance and the size is only about 8 foot. To us, that's a small one, but it did follow us out. We didn't even see it, but we got that tingle, we got that feeling, and both drew our weapons, and we backed out all the way back up to the crowd and went around it. And once we got out by where the vehicle was, we turned and looked, and there was a dark tree. You know, there was supposed to have been a regular tree, but there's a dark tree there. And then all of a sudden that tree that darkness just like goes around the tree and it's gone. And then there's that tree again, but it followed us out. But everybody there has a story. They don't go in those woods anymore. I'm not sure if the council even believes them, but it's the whole group, the whole reservation area.
They watched our documentary. They got everybody together for like a little neighborhood watch party and watched it. And even down to the littlest kids were sharing stories and excited and focused on it and happy that someone was believing them and that they were having an opportunity to talk about what they were seeing.
And that was good seeing the community come together. And we left that DVD with them so that they could go over it, share it, do whatever. But as long as they had that information, we was happy.
That sense, everybody recognizes the sense of somebody watching them. You can feel that. Those are the kind of things we're talking about, you know. Or another example is walking into a room with bad energy where somebody's just had an argument. You know it's off. They're maybe smiling and welcoming you in there, but you just feel that tension. Pay attention to those things. Those are your alarms. Those are your red flags for a reason. And we don't see that as fear. We use that as a get ready. Prepare yourself. Be ready. Pay attention. It's something's about to happen. Not as fear that makes you run.
No.
Use it to your advantage if you feel that.
Yeah, use it to your advantage. Teach the children about their eyes. Their right eye is used for catching glimpses, blurs, shadows, quick movement. The left eye is used for capturing images and focusing. And also the reasoning will jump in there and try to tell you what there is. But also in that book, we teach you about translucent viewing, shadow language, bird language, and all that. So that those teachings help you with your eyes. So what happens is, since your eye catches those blurs, glimpses, and this is also why you can catch Bigfoots, because your eyes, that's its job, is to catch those blurs, those shadows, those glimpses. And you'll always catch it out that right eye. I mean, sometimes if it's visible a little further up, your left eye will catch it, but the right eye is for that. And if you use both your hands and go back and then come up, you're going to see that you're going to see the right finger first. Its whole job is all the way around to look for what it's got to look for and to focus with the other one. And whenever this one, the right eye catches any movement, the left eye focuses just if it goes around and calculates what that is, what we know it is, what the reasoning tells us it is, then it defines it. With that book, and you learn translucent viewing, all the shadow languages and everything, your eyes know now what to distinguish, how far to look into something, how to see dark on dark. But on the left side, it's also called our west side, or our death side. And the Bigfoots that are going to be hunting, the right side, you're going to have a decoy. You know, in front of you, you're going to have a decoy. On the left side, that's the danger side. That's your death side, your west side, because it doesn't pick up those blurs, those shadows as quickly. So it's called your blind side. And that's what it means to be blindsided, because the left side doesn't pick up those glimpses, shadows, and movements and blurs and quick movements like the right side. This is the job of the right side. The Bigfoots that are hunting people will come from the left side. It wants to merge, as it's called, merge with the death side and come in that way. And anyone who's had those experiences, if you honestly think about it or tell your story, you're going to say that that Bigfoot was on the left side. The right side, I was like, that's, you know, you may see it. And it could be that small decoy, that cute, cuddly one, or fuzzy one that you see. That's just the decoy. You're not going to be worried about that one. You're not going to be. That's the one you're going to want to try to get a better picture of. You're going to want to kind of run into the woods with. But it's going to take you over to that one on the west side. The way it runs is going to be to the left side. It wants you to go and merge with it. So teach how the eyes work also, and their responsibilities. And to train them, you close one eye at a time and just focus on what you got to focus on. Close this one. Teach to pick up any movement. Focus on catching every movement. This is also in the book. I believe that if you want to train your eyes to see the translucent Bigfoots, and there are some in the documentary.
You believe it's in the book. You don't mean you believe this a word. You know.
Yeah.
Word, right? I
believe it's in the book. But if not, it's in the documentary to see how to see translucent Bigfoots. There are some there in that documentary. But for us, we train by looking at the highway or off of a car. Oh yeah, but like off of the car hood, there's a little section of there that's just hot heat waves. Get down close enough just to look at those heat waves. If you train your eyes to look at those heat waves, you'll be able to distinguish them in the trees, and you'll see those translucent ones, or they'll be sitting in the trees or in the brush. Train your eyes to do that, or train the warrior's eyes. Train the young warrior's eyes.
You can tell your eye, see it.
Yep.
See it when you're out there, so that it will focus in on that. Make a tiny target area with your eye. Train it. Make
a circle. Say the word "see it." Everything will open up. It's like giving your eye a command to show me everything. It's like a magic word or something. But you just say "see it," and your eye will open up and it will catch everything. It'll show you exactly what is there. Let it focus on what it needs to focus on. Don't try to focus on it. Let it focus, and you'll see something will show up there.
And teach your kids how to see that. To see when something's sneaking up on them.
Also teach the children about their natural surroundings. Teach them that on the south side of a tree has more vegetation. That's because the sun doesn't go straight, east and west. It comes over at an angle. So your south side trees and bushes, they're going to have more vegetation. The north side is going to have less vegetation. So you know which way is north and south. And if you see the sun, you know which way east and west is. Teach the warriors that trees are vertical. Trees in the forest are vertical. This is not vertical. These bows are not vertical. This is danger. This means danger. This is not natural. This does not belong in the forest. This is not what trees are made to do. This is an unnatural predator structure. Teach your children trees are vertical. They're not twisted and turned downward. That's an unnatural. They're not supposed to be laying in other trees or broke straight across. Those are unnatural. Those are danger. Trees grow vertical. Teach them to be aware of the wind, to know the smells. 5 smells of a Bigfoot. The stink, raunchy smell, the perfume or flowered smell, the candy smell, the smell of a fresh pine forest, and no smell. And frankincense and myrrh. The no smell is the trickiest, but they do travel in water. Some of them do wash up. Mostly the females. A lot of that smell is not going to be there, but be aware of those. Frankincense and myrrh, fresh pine forest,
or a perfume or
candy, yeah, or a perfume smell. Or candy sweet smell. But also that raunchy stink. It smells like a snake and a tarantula, and with a little bit of skunk probably mixed in there.
And blood.
Wet dog and blood. Snake. That smell is what you will smell. So there's a lot of misinformation about the warriors. Warriors are not the ones that are supposed to be going and chopping that wood or cutting that grass over there. You have duties. You have responsibilities. You are supposed to be training, getting ready, doing scouting out there, bringing information back, informing other warriors of what's going on, getting with your society groups, sharing that information. Because each warrior will have their own fight. And if these warriors are not warned, if they're not preparing, that's going to be an easy fight for the enemy, for these beasts of the field. Back in the older days, the warriors didn't have any needs. They had their weapons. The village would make sure they had weapons. The village would make sure that they had food, water, shelter, because they knew that anytime anything would break out, that warrior doesn't have to be asked. He doesn't have to be called. He just has to be informed. And with that warrior society, they are always in contact with each other. Just like our trackers, we're in contact with each other. If we got something we need done, we'll call. If they need something needs to be done, they'll call us. Well, we got some of the best guys like that, and women. But also, those duties also go with when people go fishing, swimming, hiking, recreation, or when our families go out. We're supposed to go there, clear that area first. Then everyone can have a good time. But that warrior also, and you change them out, the men and the women are the warriors, so switch out if you need to. But someone always has to watch that wood line, always watch that forest line. That's your duty. Switch off with somebody if you want to be involved in the picnic, that's fine. But switch off, know that your duties are important. And they can be deadly if you don't do your duties.
You have a designated driver, have a designated guardian, or 2, one to watch the water and one to watch the wood line. They can sit facing chairs opposite or be up walking, but also the people don't need to distract the warriors, the guardians. When they're trying to watch, they can't come help you set this up, and they can't do that because then their hands are full and they're not looking at what they need to. So
it was where I was training a young man before he was going to boot camp, and Ollie worked with him for about a week and a half or a week. It was supposed to be a 4-week program of the tracking school that we had. We can still do it. We just don't have the time right now. But this young man came to the camp, and we have everything designed to exhaust you. I mean, if you was going in the military through basic training, you will understand what we're talking about. It's to exhaust you, but get you as much information as you possibly can to make you the strongest. And we was going to put him on. I mean, we already did put him on. He took those minerals home with him, but we got specific foods for him, special water, and the right minerals, and plus the training and everything. But we also had sleep times because we had guard change, and everyone had to take a guard duty. So instead of going to sleep at his time, he would get on Facebook and start talking and communicating. When it comes to his duty, he would come and do it. On the first 2 or 3 nights, he was good. But on that 4th and 5th night, he failed. On the 5th night, we had an actual encounter in the camp. We got surrounded, and all because of things that we said not to do, they did, just to test and see if that thing would happen. And that was the owl call, which we said, if you use these 3 things, Bigfoots will come. And I don't want anybody to use the other one, so I'm not even going to say them. But using that owl call, he did that on his phone, thinking it was no big deal. That night, they came in. But he was also so tired that others had to come out and watch him while he was on guard duty because he fell asleep. And we couldn't drag him out and watch what was going on at the same time. So we had to have people around him while he slept, while we were being surrounded. And I told him, I said, if you go to sleep, you go home. And he's like, I'm trying, but I'm tired. I said, I know, we're all tired. This is what this program's for. He fell asleep. Once this situation was over, because we waited till daylight because they got that call back. And if you ever been out there with Bigfoots, and they have a callback time around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to hear a whistle that goes, well, hopefully I can do it. But the whistle goes. But it's real long and you can barely hear it. But at that time, we also had a Bigfoot pretty much treed right next to us. It couldn't come down without making noise. We caught it going up. It's also in that video. You can see it in the tree there. In that Bigfoot documentary, you can see that one. It's a different one, but it's in there, and it couldn't come down because we was basically right underneath that tree at that time. But that call came, and you could hear a creak, but there was no wind. But it was, what it was doing was moving a step down and trying to be quiet, but that the weight was creaking that pine tree, and there was no wind. So we knew that it was trying to come down, but we all had our position, and we couldn't move unless something happened. But finally, you could tell it just took off. And that's why they're called blurs. They move that fast. But that next day, the young man came in, and he tried to apologize, and he said, he asked to not go home because his parents would be upset and everything. But I told him, I said, we told you, if you fall asleep, you go home. That's a dangerous situation. You put other people in a dangerous situation. And if you've ever been in the military, you know you don't fall asleep on guard duty when you're supposed to be protecting the whole group. So he had to go home. But that is other things and other duties, but also the warriors train.
He did end up going into the military and everything.
So anyway, I had to send the young man home. After that, he was going to a boot camp after that. And for me, I was, how the military go, one push-up is not one up, one down. It's 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 3. LeadTrackerE was going through the training, and she goes, wait a minute, that's 4. I can count. That's not 1, that's 2, that's 4. Start over. But I trained him, in those ways, and some Navy SEAL training too. I didn't go to Navy SEAL, but I know the training, and I was using those same tactics. I was exhausting him. There was hills that we had to run up. On the third time we ran up that hill, this young man asked if, because we was running up and running down, running up and running down, and this was a steep hill. On that third time, he goes, "Can we at least walk down?" That's all right. So we run up again and walk back down. He goes, "How many do we have to do?" You know. And this is a young man, 16 years of age or something, but he was going to a camp afterwards. Not like the military boot camp, but the boot camps that a lot of young men go to. A lot of people know those boot camps, but he went to that boot camp and he excelled in everything. He was the best soldier or cadet at that boot camp. He had so many plaques and ribbons and things like that. It was amazing. The whole family was proud of him. But I think that most of that had to be, if he didn't get sent home, if he was able to talk me out of letting him go, finish a program, and then he wouldn't understood how important it is for guard duty and watching, the fellow warriors and soldiers and things like that. So, but he did. He's doing great now. He's working. He's getting his life together. A great guy, young man, and if he ever wants to finish his training, is always welcome. I always told him it's always welcome. Come back, finish that training. He still needs to finish. But if he is watching, proud of you. Yeah, you're doing a great job out there. Also, warriors are strategic. Their strategy, their plan, their objective. They're not drinkers or smokers. They use medicines, of course, in ceremonies and for healing and things like that they need for the body. But warriors are training. We're getting ready for our battle. We're getting ready. We're learning as much as we can possibly learn before we go out to the field, before we go out to the battlefield, before we reach that area. We want to know as much as we could possibly know so that we don't get hurt out there, so that we do return home. And we're listening to any instructor that wants to help us, that wants to teach us any information. And I learned from a lot of instructors, a lot of people around the world, a lot of head leaders. I learned from every one of them. But doing that, learning everything, listening and focusing on what you need to hear, that's an advantage. Then that's another reason the warrior makes a better warrior than the other one, is because that is an advantage. Listening, gaining all the information, all the knowledge that you can about the war, about the battle, about your prey, about your enemy. You got to know about the translucency out there. You got to know shadow language, bird language, and it's all in that book also. It's very important. The book is a warrior's training book. It is designed to help everyone. It's designed also for the people who have been ridiculed or won't tell their stories because there's not enough proof, or that they don't have enough proof. But if you read that book, you're going to find all the proof you need. Know where to go find that proof if you want to find that proof. How to be careful out there. And a lot of people has told us that they do feel more comfortable and more secure and safe out there in the woods and the woodlands after reading the book. You have to know your enemy.
You also need to know yourself and your own weaknesses so that you can work on those and perfect those and figure out ways to counter those and use those to your advantage.
And that it's spiritual and physical. It's not just physical. Mm-hmm. There's portals out there. There's other worlds out there. Dreams are worlds. Anything in a portal is a predator. Earth is the last safe area, I guess you would say. Even though we're under attack and we have predators here, and these times are right now. Anything outside this, so don't be going into any portals. If you find them, close them, or call us and we'll tell you how to close them. Don't go into them. Don't go near them. Things come out of there, and they're all predators. Anything that comes out of a portal is a predator. Something about Gideon.
We can talk about that now.
Okay.
Okay. I just want, this is in the spiritual warfare. Biblically, here's an example of a warrior. If you don't know the story of Gideon's army, an angel of God appeared to Gideon, and Gideon was the underestimated family member. They didn't expect much out of him. He was the weakest. He just wasn't that impressive. And so he thought the angel was joking when he appeared to him and told him that God was going to use him to bring down the Midianites who had the Israelites under control. Well, Gideon kind of doubted God too, but he just wanted proof from God that, you mean me, really? I don't think I can do this. I just don't think I'm equipped for this. And so he said to God, let's have a test. And if you really mean you're going to be with me, if you really, really mean, he just wanted some assurance. So he said, I'm going to put a fleece out on the ground with sheep's wool, put it out on the ground through the night. And if the water soaks up from the ground, then I'll know. If the ground is dry and the wool is wet, then I'll know that was a sign from you. And so the next morning, sure enough, he could squeeze out a bowl full of water, but the grass all around was dry. Second night, kind of the reverse situation. Gideon's still questioning, and he says, okay, I'm going to put the fleece back on the ground, and if the ground is wet but the fleece is dry, then I'll believe that I can do this. And it worked. And so then Gideon believed God that he really would be with him to do that. And so the first assignment that he really had was to go and break down the altar of Baal that the Israelites themselves had erected, and that's why God allowed them to be taken over, and they were starving and they were becoming a slave nation, very oppressed by the Midianites. So what was on that story? Gideon was afraid and helpless, but he went ahead and took 10 people in the night. He was afraid of the Midianites. He took 10 men and snuck into the altar of Baal. They dismantled it. They destroyed the grove of trees around it. They got rid of the sacrifice that was on it, and then they put up their own altar to the Almighty God. Well, the townspeople were just furious about it, and they wanted to put Gideon to death. And Gideon's father said, well, if Baal is the powerful God that you say he is, and if he wants him dead because of what he did, then he'll kill him. And so they really had no comeback for that. So they didn't kill him. So then Gideon, he's got thousands and thousands of people gathered up to go on this war against the Midianites with him. And God said, no, you don't need all those. You test and take them to the water, and the ones that tell them to get a drink of water, and the ones that scooped up the water in their hands and drank like this, keep those. The other ones that get down on their hands and knees and they put their head down into the water and they're drinking that way, get rid of those. So it's reduced from the thousands and thousands of the military men down to just 300 out of all of them. So it's a small army, but a trusted army, because these guys could keep an eye on what was around them. They don't have their head down and butts in the air, and they're, they can't even see what's going on around them. They're still very aware, even though they're getting their water. So these 300 soldiers, that's all they had. They circled the camp of the Meridians. I think I said that name wrong. But anyway, they circled the camp that night. They've all got a torch and they've all got a trumpet, and their torches are all lit at the same time around the camp of the Midianites. I said Meridians, of the Midianites, and they've got the torches. The Midianites thought that they were completely surrounded by a much larger army than what was actually there. When they blew that trumpet, what did they yell? For God and Gideon. I don't want to look through all this, but they gave glory to God, and they were screaming that the sword of God and Gideon, the sword of God and Gideon, and then they charged. Well, the Midianites were so freaked out by what they thought was this huge, massive, overwhelming army that they took off, and so that they really did run out all those the people that had taken over and saved them with just the 300. And so the lessons in that that we could take away from that in regards to, if God is with you, who can be against you? If your cause is correct, and in with Bigfoot, we know that this is something that God is trying to warn people about. These are the beasts of the field. This is a biblical thing. These things will attack someday. They will have free reign. They won't be held back by the Holy Spirit. They won't be held back by laws of spirituality. When that day, when those times come, people need to be ready, which is why we're doing what we're doing. God will be with us, but he will be with the ones that are listening to him and learning and taking care of what they need to ahead of time. The ones that are prepared need to think strategically. You know your enemy. Use God's discernment and wisdom. Do not doubt. He doubted at first, but after his little test, and that was more doubt of himself than anything. He was just like, who am I? I can't believe God would even help me do this. You're really going to help me? That kind of thing. But just don't, if you're a mature believer, don't doubt. God's got you. He's got you. If he tells you to do something, he's going to make a way for you to do it. It does not take a large army of warriors to make a difference. It takes effective warriors who have been given the tools that we need. That's who's going to make a difference. You're never going to be the majority when you're fighting good against evil. And know your enemy. They knew what they needed to do about how they would react if they thought they were threatened. They knew how many were there. They knew what would scare them the most, and they did that. So that's the story of Gideon. So y'all read that. That's in Judges chapter 6, and it's really, really a good story.
That also goes with the warrior with knowledge of the spiritual and the physical world. There is no loss. The very best never gets beat. The very best always wins. A lot of the young Choctaw warriors don't know their own history, and they don't know the energy, and that this is a spiritual war in this world, spiritual world war. I want to show you this about, if anybody had been watching the channel for a little while, we also have a war game called stickball, Kabucha Toa. But this also is an ancient game. And this game also, the loser in the old times, the whole village would be taken captive. They would be served up their soft tissues. The whole village would be given as an offering to beasts, to demons. It wasn't to another tribe. We didn't give people to another tribe. It was that these demons, these creatures were in the area, and they were hungry, and if they got fed, they left. Same thing with the Aztec people. They dropped the heart, the soft tissue, into the hole to feed these demons, these predators. They have a shadow in one of the temples that has a big spider on it. I can't think of which one that is. But even in our game, we have a male and we have a female. We have the sun and we have the moon. The ball is called Towa, T-O-W-A. They call it Toli now, T-O-L-I. But if you can see, the ball is woven like a web around it. Now this Towa is called ball. That means ball. But in our sport game or war game, it's also called the world or earth. And that goes with The Legend of Time, sorry. That goes with the story, The Legend of Time, that's in the book also. It's a different story. It's a time before light happened. I mean, before darkness. But even in these games, to have a game with predators or spiders, these are an extension, like an extra appendage. This would be an extra arm kind of appendage. And spiders have the same thing. So these tips right here would be like the tip of a spider, like that. And you can hold a ball like that also. But this comes in and holds it just like that also. Just like the hands, the extensions. But spiders don't have hands. These beasts have the hooks. And there are games that were played in ancient stories against these predators. But the stickball game is a game of sacrifice. Now it's to settle disputes as what, because we're not supposed to be at war with other tribes. But if something came like that again, I mean, we wouldn't do that, but a lot of other tribes may think about doing that to save their own tribe. But it was a game of sacrifice, and people did, were sacrificed. The young ones today, they don't know this. The young ones of today, they want to be the team captain like a football team. But in the ancient times, the losing tribe or the losing people, the captain or the one leading them, they would be the very first to be sacrificed in front of everybody, because they're supposed to be the very best. And that's why when these young ones talk about being a captain, I hear about it, but for me, you don't want to be that captain unless you train every man yourself, unless you know how everyone and their capabilities are. That's the only way you could be a captain. They just don't understand the importance or the sacrificial part of the game. And spiritually, those things still happen. Warrior societies, we have our own ceremonies, but we do attend other ceremonies. We attend other meetings. The war chief of any tribe or any war society, their responsibility is they give the okay when to go to war, but they converse with the councils, with the women, with the men. But they also keep the peace. When they're at the meetings or any argument, nobody, whatever the war captain or war chief says, that's what is done. They can escort the highest chief out. They can, escort clan mothers out. Whatever they say, if there's an argument, or even if the instructor starts telling stories instead of what we're here for, a lot of people drift like that. But if they do start drifting, the war chief will say, back on point. And that means, okay, let's get back to, we'll talk about how I raised 2 ducks, last season. I've been in meetings like that too. And you open do, floor. Yeah. But if you have an open floor, it's fun there. So also the warriors have a death ceremony. Now death will watch a death dance. And the death ceremonies are before you go to war. Once you come home, you will smudge off with the white sage, but then also use cedar to take all that stuff, all that negativity off of you, burn it off of you. But the death ceremony is done before you go to battle, but also what is known as the death dance. Now, the death dance, death has to let you dance your death dance. And in certain situations, if you run out of ammo, if you're surrounded by Bigfoot, you ran out of ammo, do your death dance. They have to watch and give you that dance, because that death dance is also a sacrifice dance. But if you outlast the death, which means if you hang on and you dance until you can't move, pray to God to give you more dancing strength, and someone will show up, something will happen, but stay with that dance and you will have to drop completely. But death cannot interfere in that sacrifice, in that death. And if you think about it, you know it's true. Have the ceremonies of acknowledgement of God, creation, and attend meetings. Get to know what's going on in your area. Get to know what the other societies are doing, the women's societies, the men's societies, the councils on the chief, even some of your board councils or city councils. Know what's going on. Use it all as information. And when you're all this information, always take that with you to the field. From your enemy to your prey. Know what their traps are. Know what your enemy eats, what it sleeps. I mean, where it sleeps, where it is the best position to view you. Like us here at the house, you know, we look at the back doors, we look at the front doors, the entry points, the exit points, and you will find that there's places up in trees, and they bend limbs also up to make seating areas up there also. Know where it drinks, know where it gets its water, know where it hunts. You got to know all these things before you go into these areas, because if you don't, these things are, you know, they could be right there in front of you anyway, especially in their translucency. But if you got your habits and routines and schedules, you've been out there, or they know you from the house or whenever, they know where to set up, what trail you're going to take, what time you're coming in, when you're leaving.
When your kids are getting on the school bus.
But also knowing all these things about, yeah, because they'll be at your kid's bus stop whenever they get home, or, you know, watch them whenever they get off the bus. But when you know all this, you're never under attack. A warrior is never under attack, no matter if it's a fist fight, which warriors don't need to have arguments with a human. We don't need to fight a human. We don't need to fight man. We have beasts out there. We have predators out there that eat and kill people. Those are our responsibilities. Fist fighting, that's for children or training, you know, things like that. Don't get caught up in the little stuff. We got big things that we got to take care of. We got spiritual wars that we have to be in. So always remember, a warrior is never under attack. Always be on the offensive. Strike first, strike hard. Always expect everything. Go over everything. If you're going on a trip, know where you're going to stop. Know where you're going to gas up. Don't go further than half a tank. Once you got half a tank right there, stop, pull over, wash your windshields, refuel up, get a drink if you need it, hit that road. Stay moving, point A to point B. If you've been in the military, you know that's the same way. We gas up. When it's time to go and clear it, we go.
You also don't announce to everyone where and when and what path you're taking.
Yep. Don't give your ETA. We've had a lot of people get almost upset with us that we wouldn't tell them the exact time. Not some of the trackers here, because they understand our situation. But normal people get upset with us because we don't give them that exact time, but they know that we will be there in a week or two. but we kind of give them a little signal or a heads up, but don't give your information out. Don't let people know you're leaving home, and just point A to point B.
Don't always take the same routes. That's in the woods or in your car.
And what's the warrior's biggest mistake he can make? He or she can make, or that warrior can make. And the answer to that is thinking we have time. There is no time. Every day is essential. Warriors know that forever, for eternity, is right here in front of us, right in our eyes. It can happen this quick and we're there. We don't think about those long periods of times. We do expect to be in our older ages, but we expect and we know eternity is right here, right now. It's right in front of us. It can happen anytime. We don't waste time on the things that we need to do. These streams that we're doing is to help, to protect, to train, to teach. And we take the time to do this. We want everyone prepared. We want everyone knowing what to do out there, what to look for, to be safe out there, and to unify out there. Again, if you can get that book, $25. Cash App is online there. Go through that book. Go through it with your family. Go through it with your hunting buddies. Go through it with people who are training right now. Share it with the people who don't believe you. There's so much information in there that if they walk out in the forest and there's sign, they're going to know exactly what they're looking at. And remember, teach the children vertical. Trees grow vertical. Bows, that's danger. That's a predator. That's not normal.
X's,
All these signs. And if you get that book, you'll see that there are illustrations that LeadTrackerE drew herself from actual things, places we've been. They are detailed. You'll see that in there. Then show the children. They'll know what to look for just by looking at those illustrations, or they'll tell you, I've seen those.
that's right. Kids they're more observant than adults. They just need to know what it is, help them process what they're seeing. Teach them, just like you teach them about pedophiles and the dangers in humans. Teach them what's in the woods. Tell them the truth. When they talk to you about a boogeyman out there, or a boogeyman in their closet, you check that out. You take that seriously for the spiritual warfare. Check under the bed. Don't dismiss it. Pray with them and teach them how to spiritually arm themselves. Teach them how to pray over themselves. Teach them how to pray a covering over themselves at night so they're not attacked in their sleep. You're not always going to be there for them. And if something happens to you, they're left defenseless. And we were saying this the other night too. The women, please, you got to be warriors as well. And y'all teach your daughters. We have to be strong too. All the weight doesn't have to fall on just the man of the house. The women have to be prepared to help. Everyone gets aggravated in a movie when the woman's just standing there screaming and the guy's going through all this crap and she's just useless there. Don't be that. Don't be that woman. You help prepare. You keep an eye out as well and teach your kids how to defend themselves. We have so much information to us now on self-defense and things like that. There's just so many options. Do that. Wrestle with your kids. Do exactly like the animals do. They teach the kids how to, it looks like play, but they're really teaching them how to survive and how to fight. And we need to be doing that too. Do obstacle course. And kids really love to work beside you all day long and watch what you're doing. And if it's possible, then you let them do that too. And they'll be picking it up all along. They love to copy us.
Yeah. Don't be the one who has to call for help. Be the one that people call, or you be that warrior. You be the one. You don't have to make the call. You're ready. You're prepared. You got everything. You've already got your plan ready. Don't be the one who has to call for help. Everyone has to be trained. Every man, woman, and child has to be trained.
Physically and spiritually. It's both. We got to do both.
Also remember that these predators, they rotate. It's not a migration. It's a rotation. It's if you've got a missing person from this town, you're going to find way over here, there's another missing person. and then a year or two later, or there'll be another missing person over here. But this first city or this first town or the first village, when it happens again, because they're rotating, they're coming, they'll make their way back to that town, to that town. It's not hard to go to that town, to that town, to that town. Once another person gets taken, they're going to say, oh, well, that happened about 3 years ago. Then wait 3 or 4 more years, and there's another one. But people don't feel that as an urgency, especially if it's not to their family. It's only an emergency if it happens to your family. But we need to get past that. We need to be responsible for each other out there.
Right now, everybody talks about the human trafficking, and yes, that's horrible too, 100%. But every disappearance is not human traffickers. Some of these disappearances, especially in the parks and the woodlines and that are around dumpsters, areas like that, those are from the predator Bigfoot and their mutations.
The place that is our council with the tribe or the Choctaws, it's a place called Tushkahoma, and that means red warriors. But even these young warriors today, or these young, they are warriors. They need training. But they don't even know that where we're at, there's a flat area and it's surrounded by mountains like that. The flat area is where the people gather. But they don't know that while the people used to gather, the warrior societies were up in the top of the mountains. That's where our locations are. That's where we're supposed to be at while these festivals are going on, while these meetings, because other tribes would come together and have their talk. So it was our duties, our areas to patrol it, to make sure that nothing came over the mountains or was coming into the camps. But now, if you go up there, you're going to find a lot of Bigfoot sign because there are no warriors up there. There's no teachers up there, no one training them. And that's also a thing I'll be running for council this next season coming up. We're going to be doing a lot of training once we get in. A lot of things need to change, and a lot of warriors need to be trained, especially with what's coming and what is happening right now. Warriors, you are very strategic. Be included. Every warrior has to be included, and every warrior has to be informed. So there's no mistakes out there in the field. We all have to have the same knowledge when we're out in the field. We can't be out there with someone who's not with the same information and the same knowledge and the same tracking skills. That book, this is what we use also. We know what to look for. There's things in that book that you'll know how we track and what we look for, and there's just so much information in it. But every warrior who would go out with us would need to read that book, and most of the warriors that we know and the trackers have that documentary also. Warriors are not volunteers. There's so many warriors out there who's been told that we're supposed to help everybody. You know, if they need water hauled, or if they need table set up, or if they need a canopy set up for something, that's not a warrior's job. A warrior is to secure that area so that canopy can be put up safely, so that potluck dinner can be done safely. But this also happens with a lot of leaders in communities and groups like that. If you're that leader, if you're that community leader, that group leader, there's other people in your society, in your group, who can take care of that potluck, who can park the cars or get them lined up. That's not your job. Your job is to make sure everyone is safe and secure. And if you're the instructor, you make sure that everyone understands and everybody knows that you're talking from your heart. You have to share the information. That's your duty. That's your responsibility. Don't go volunteer for be the caller for the bingo. You know, don't you have responsibilities. Once you start volunteering here, volunteering there, here, there, you're not training. You're not getting your responsibilities done. You're not getting your teachings ready for that next group that's coming in who needs your teaching. So do not volunteer. Warriors, do not volunteer. We have our duties, our responsibilities. Don't ask warriors to cut your grass. You know, there's a boy down the street who needs $5 because they will do it for cheap. But don't get warriors and don't ask warriors to do things. They have responsibilities. Warriors, do your responsibilities. Don't be hanging around with people out there cooking dinner or the guys over by the fire sitting down. You got responsibility. You be in that tree line. You be, if you're in your vehicle, you can still sit there, but you watch that tree line. You make sure everyone's safe. You do your responsibility so they don't have to ask you to do something. You're always busy. We always got something to do. And like LeadTrackerE and myself, when we're out in the field, there's always something that we're both doing. We got our responsibilities. We know what we need to do. And if other people have their own gear, that's fine. But don't rely on us out there. You have that training. You rely on yourself. We're all together, but like some people complain about the weapons that we have and the amount of ammunition we carry. But like we say, don't worry about my ammunition. Don't worry about my weapon. Don't worry about my knife. That's for me. That's what I'm going to use to make sure I get home safe. Same way with LeadTrackerE. She carries her own. A lot of our trackers carry their own. But there are some people or groups, and if you want to go out there fine without protection, that's fine. But you're not going with us. And if we have someone who we are tracking with, who we're training, and we are out there with them, still don't rely on us. Bring your own weapon. Everyone who tracks with us, they have their own weapon. Because if something comes out, each warrior will have your own fight. And if you got your fight coming up and you're not prepared, you don't have what you need, it's going to be an easy fight and you're going to lose.
And at the very least, don't argue with them when they tell you to do something a certain way. For instance, we had one person we tracked with, and we told them don't be whistling out there, and just like everything that we would say to do or not to do, they would do. It's just we won't track with them anymore. That's putting people in danger. You have to take it serious.
Warriors are not heroes. We have duties and responsibilities to other warriors. We have duties and responsibilities to our families. We have duties and responsibilities to our communities, our villages, our societies. That's not hero work. That's not something that we just do. These are duties and responsibilities that we do daily. We know what our jobs are. We know what our bodies can do. We know everything that we need to know before that battle happens. So we're not heroes. What we do is our responsibilities. It's our duties. So don't call a warrior a hero. You can call a soldier that, but don't call a warrior that. When we go out into the field, when we're on our field exercises, when we're tracking out there, doing tracking locates or helping people, we don't talk to anyone or anybody that we might find in the field. We don't help anybody in the field. If that person is calling for help right there, we will get back and report it. Don't talk to people in the field. Don't talk to anyone you meet in the forest. A couple of reasons is that these demons can possess bodies as well. They can be images of people. Bigfoots can also manipulate what people are seeing. Your mind, your reasoning will change something that's vicious and dangerous looking to something that your mind can handle. So if you're seeing a 20-foot vicious walking wolf, your mind's going to make you think it's a Care Bear or like a friend, a whole bunch of kittens just all of a sudden appeared to make it seem like
That literally happened.
it literally happened. They all of a sudden, just like kittens just showed up. But that was what his mind could change to where he could focus on enough to get in his vehicle and leave. But that was very dangerous. And we talk about that when you let something change your mind from vicious to cute and cuddly or harmless, that thing is still coming, and it will kill you and it will eat you. Don't let your reasoning change what you are seeing. See what it is for what it is. Don't let your mind change anything.
And don't let other people tell you that what you just saw is not what you just saw, especially people that weren't even there. People will see a Bigfoot or see a demon, and they'll try to tell the people around them. And then they let those people tell them, no, it was something else. You just saw a bear. You just saw this. You just saw that. But you know what you saw. You stand your ground on that.
I know one of the trackers, Lost Adventures, had they were kind of talking with us, and they said, well, they could say that that's not a bear, I mean, a Bigfoot tracker, that they may have seen a bear to normal people, but you're professional trackers. Yeah, we know what a bear looks like. We know what a dog looks like. We know what a fish looks like. We know what Bigfoots look like. We know their variations, the wings, the hooves, the fangs, the horns, fur, skin, colors, translucent. So we know what we're seeing. And if you do purchase the Bigfoot documentary, it will show that one Bigfoot, that one of the Bigfoots that's in there. But you will be able to learn a lot about tracking in there, where we went. We was in one cave that was a dugout that was large enough for LeadTrackerE to walk in. And that was a very dangerous one also, but that's also in that documentary. And those places in the documentary, you should get just so you can see, so that you know what they look like before you get there, so that you don't go in them, and that your children don't cross that bridge or look at or try to get down to see what's in there. We went in there for you already in that documentary, so get that also, watch that so you know where to go, what to look for, and the Predator, Bigfoot, and the Spiritual Warrior's Path book. Warriors. Oh,
I was going to say the spot where the cave is at a Choctaw elder's house, and he has 4 out of 12 horses left now because of the Predator Bigfoots.
and he came home that one time.
And then also a deer, a big buck was trying to fight its way into his house from the porch up there in the light, because it was the only place that there was any light. So we're very serious when we tell you that the battle is already here.
It's already here. Warriors do not have habits, routines, and schedules. You got to change everything up. Be sporadic. Some nights leave your light on, some nights turn it off. Some put on this side of the house, some on that side of the house. Play music over here. Change everything up.
No patterns.
No patterns. Bigfoots can pin you so easy. Know when you're coming home. Know when you eat, sleep, when you barbecue, when you're gonna let your kids out or dogs out alone.
Same as human predators.
Same as human predators. They will watch, stalk, and wait. Warriors are not vulnerable. Don't make yourself vulnerable by going out and checking your mail every night right before dark. Get out of those habits. Think about the situations before you get there. Think about what you're doing before you get there. Think of the best time to do things. Scout everything out. Know your entire area. Again, if you get that book, Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path, there's a lot of information in there that you need. Every warrior needs to have that book. All of our trackers have that book. And a lot of people who's been with the channel for quite a while. Animals, animals. The Bigfoot has been trapping humans, since they can. But animals, a deer knows your pattern. If you come in looking like a hunter, those deers know you're a hunter. You come in looking like a hiker or something like that, they know. A tactic that a lot of hunters are using now, and which I don't like hunting at all. I don't hunt. I don't hunt whatsoever. I don't hunt whatsoever. But deer know what a hunter looks like. They know what they're there for. And so people are using this tactic. And the tactic is that whenever you see a deer, kind of turn your eyes. And a deer knows trackers as well. We're not looking for deer. We're not looking for hog or turkey, squirrel, whatever. They know we're maneuvering a certain way, following a certain path, and they know what path we're searching. We always see deer. We always see hogs, turkeys, while nobody else can see these things. The hunters are like, we didn't get any. We're like, well, But the thing is, don't use habits. You got to break any habit, routine, and schedule. This is your easy pickings for a Bigfoot. One of the tactics that hunters are using now, which has been used before, but it's something I don't agree with either. Which there's a lot of things about hunting I don't agree with, like even tree stands and feeding corn and stuff like that. But some hunters are sitting down and crying, or taking a voice recorder of a child crying, and will sit there in the forest, and they use it to kill deer and animal, because even a deer, if they see someone needing help, a man, child, woman, even a deer, if they see these animals, because even a bear will help you, but they're not going to take you, like the Bigfoot that people call a bear. It's not going to do that, but it's not going to eat you. It's not going to bother you, because these animals, they have feelings also. So when the hunter is down like this and he's got this sound, is like a child crying, a deer will poke its head out. It'll come a little bit slower, and it'll check it out, and it'll look just to make sure, and it'll come up. It'll walk up right up to a person who's crying, touch them, just to check on them. But then also, that's when the hunter, which again, I don't agree with that technique, but they'll do that and turn and shoot the deer that's coming in. But these animals, they're not there to hurt you either. But the Bigfoots and the predators are. But that is a thing that whenever you're in the forest, these deer, they know, the Bigfoots know. The Bigfoots, if you're coming in with a weapon, they want to know, are you a hunter, or are you hunting them? Are you tracking them? So whenever we go out there, we expect to see a deer. We expect to see a hog. We expect to see turkey, because they're going to push a deer at you, and they're going to say, here, get that deer and go off. And you'll see so many hunters that say, I went out to the woods 10 minutes, I got a deer, and now I'm back. That's because these things are pushing that deer. Okay, you don't want a deer? Fine. Here, let's push a big hog at you. You don't want that hog. Okay, how about a turkey? Okay, so now the Bigfoot knows you're not looking for anything like that.
How about a beautiful, big, strategically placed footprint?
Yes, or a big, nice footprint. And that big, nice footprint is going to come right after you pass up the deer, the hog, the squirrel, the rabbit, whatever.
Pretty
feathers, whatever you pass up. Now they know you're tracking for something else. And if they see you tracking their prints, they're going to leave you a beautiful print. They're going to leave you that sweet scent. They're going to give you a glimpse in the distance of a young, small Bigfoot that looks like a small kid or something. running and scurrying off like it's scared. That's all to pull you into a trap. They want you to come a little bit further, and we almost, well, we got to the trap area, which was a ravine in the dark, a dark area where you had to go in. But we knew that was a trap. We pulled back out, and we seen one predator over there and one predator over there waiting for us. But where is it? Warriors have no fear because warriors have trust in God, trust in creation, trust in the Creator. God gives you all that protection. Know that God is with you. Know that your spiritual armor is intact. Be that spiritual warrior God needs. These beasts are real. Trust God always when you're out there.
Keep on the full armor of God from Ephesians 6, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, belt of truth, the sword of the word, God's word, the sword of the Spirit, your feet ready, prepared to get out and do what you need to do and to get out and share the knowledge, and the shield of faith. Keep that full armor on all the time. Refresh it, keep it polished, look for cracks.
Look for cracks, look for entry points, look for thresholds. That's also in the book, in the Predator, Bigfoot, and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. That information is in the book also. Train for charges also. Bluff charges, train for that. When these Bigfoots come out on all fours, make sure you drop down, get level, get an even shot. Don't stand up because you're going to be shooting down. You may hit the back, you may hit the buttocks, you may hit, something, or you may miss. But when you drop down, get a level shot, whatever's coming is going to get hit with that bullet. Expect it to stand up right before or pounce right before. Know those things. Know your directions. Know where the sun is. Know the wind currents. And know skylining. And skylining means if you're coming over a ridge to look down to see if there's anything down there before you advance, don't stand up. Anybody can see you. If that sun's behind you, your shadow carries forever. Anybody can see you stand up. Always come on a ridge low. Look over and then back up and back out.
Don't be a shiner. Don't stand in the sun. Don't take the common brightly lit path. Stick to the edge of the tree line. This will keep you cooler and it will keep you camouflaged better.
The warriors teach patience and calmness. Teach it. Teach it. You don't have to spark off with everything, even though you're a warrior. We was talking a little bit earlier about a young man that had wanted me to get a free phone for him, which, it was just the situation I was in. I could get a free phone. He told me I could. So the next time I went by just to say hi to him, he asked me where the phone was and if I got it for him. I said, no, I've never said I'd give you or get you a phone. And this young man got in my face and was just yelling and screaming about this phone. And I kept, calmly saying, I never said I was going to get you a phone. And there were some other people also in his house at that time. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and head back. And he finally calmed down. And, when I was leaving, the other people, they left at the same time. And they were saying, that was kind of, aggressive kind of thing. And you just stood there and looked at him and calmly was telling him that he wasn't going to give him the phone. And they said, we wouldn't even know what to do in something like that. So I just told him, I said, well, I knew exactly what to do if something was to happen. So I wasn't worried about it. So teach that calmness, teach that patience. Don't react. Don't get aggressive. Don't know what you can do with your training. Know what you can do.
The minute somebody starts getting loud, they're already losing control.
Yeah, loud, calling names and things cussing. Like that, cussing, using bad language. They've already lost control. They've already dropped herself below you. So just keep your calmness, keep your straight face, and just do what you have to do.
Another example of that is when he was traveling with a group of natives and they got pulled over and they had been sitting there for a while. He was in the front passenger seat, and he took off his seatbelt, and then they tried to say that where was his seatbelt, where was his ID? You tell it better than. But that was a really good example of staying calm.
I think you can see it on YouTube under Aguasasne Warriors versus Virginia State Troopers. We was in Virginia at that time on a film shoot. And that movie is called Alone Yet Not Alone. It's out on DVD and probably free on YouTube. But we was traveling through as a group going to visit some other friends. We got pulled over for speeding, but we never seen a sign. But our driver, I told him, I said, just hang tight. Take about 15 minutes, let them know. Just give them what you got to get. We'll take care of that. We'll all help out with that ticket because none of us knew the speed limit. But we was going with the flow of traffic. But we had a van load of brown-skinned people. So in Virginia, that's almost an automatic pullover. And that's what it was. But the Virginia trooper, Officer Buzzard, a young guy, about this tall, had this size head, and he was yelling and screaming. He was about to mace the whole truck, trying to get me out of the vehicle and take me to jail because I wouldn't give him identification, which you don't have to give information or identification, especially if you haven't been in any crime or any suspect of any crime. No one has the right to come up and just ask you for information, and you all know that, even if you're a officer. But so I told him, you don't need my information, and next thing you know, they'd called other state troopers, the sheriffs, canines. That young man had lost control. If you watch that video, he's just screaming and yelling, all worked up. I was the same way I am right now, just talking to the sheriff. And finally, they pulled the van door open, and there's young children in there. I mean, not children, 16 was the youngest, but all different age, young men. And so that guy, Buzzard, who was getting out of control, he got the mace, he sprayed it in the ground. We're watching him spray in the ground. He goes, I'm going to spray this whole van. He's coming that way. And then even the officers got in front of him.
You were telling the kids, you stay calm.
I was letting the young men know, just be calm. Don't worry about this. Don't get upset. Don't get aggressive. And, just be cool. This will be all right. And it's in that video. And you'll see that they all stayed calm, too, until one of the other adults jumped ship, as you would say. And then they started falling out because they seen one of the other ones get out, or one of the other adults. But we show them to be calm in that situation. If you watch that video, you'll see that. A lot of people won't do that.
They were threatening to put the dogs in on.
Yeah, they was going to let the dogs in the van with the kids and attack the kids.
And that was when he said he would go ahead and go.
And that's when I said, okay, I'll go. I'll get out of the vehicle because we went as far as watching the canines just about to come in and the mace being sprayed and this guy being held back. I knew that the young ones were going to get hurt, so that's when I relinquished and went to jail. Got 10 days in jail for that.
Will you please tell the whole thing with the judge?
Oh, okay. Well, I got a $7,000 cash bond put on me whenever they took me to the jail in Virginia, in Roanoke, Virginia. And so the people that we were going to see, they had a big farm and were doing pretty well at that time. So they brought $7,000 in cash to get me out, which, I thought I'd be there. And so we made it to the jail. Made it to the courthouse on the court date time. And I get up there, and of course, I don't have to volunteer to get into a contract with this city. And so when the magistrate, which there are no judges, that was back in the 1700s, they're called magistrates and administrators now. So the magistrate at that time said, "Do you understand the nature and cause of these charges?" And I said, "No, I do not consent to courts of contracts." So I'm saying I'm not going to get into a contract with you. There's no basis for this. I was kidnapped. And I also told him that I'm the claimant and not the defendant. And he would say, "No, you're the defendant. You're not the claimant. Do you understand the nature and cause of the charges?" Again, I would say, "I do not consent to courts of contracts." And we went on like that for about, he repeated that at least 10 times. I repeated exactly the same thing, never changed. His head is getting this big. He's sweating. He's getting mad. At this time, now the sheriffs and the state troopers come in and surround me. We're not even, nothing's been finalized, but they come in and surround me. And he says, "I'm going to give you 10 days in jail." We never passed anything. He said, "I'm going to give you 10 days in jail because we don't need people like you not giving us their ID, so we cannot charge them." So everyone's a piggy bank. They were just charging anybody for anything just to get money. So I had to do 10 days in jail. And by this time, the sheriffs are in there, and I'm not aggressive. I'm not, of course, I know I'm going to jail. So they all handcuffed me, and they're about to take me in. And the judge is so mad, because he couldn't get me into a contract to convict me, which if you look, there's no register or no contract with me in there. Even though I was in their jail for 10 days, that's not in there. But there's a guy in the audience now he's sweating. This guy's just sweating. He's shaking. He's sitting by some people that I know, and he's going, "Why is he making him so mad? He goes, what did he do? What did he do?" And my friends say, "No seatbelt ticket." And they're like, "He got 10 days in jail surrounded by police." And so he's shaking, and he goes, "I'm up on my 3rd drug charge, and I'm coming up next. Don't make you mad." So that actually happened. I mean, I did do my 10 days in, and they let me out. No record after that, but I still had to do 10 days in there just to be reprimanded for not giving them what they want or getting into that contract with that court. And they are courts of contracts. You have to know, even the flag with the tassels, that's a military court. It's not a court of law. So you need to also know those things too. But I think that's pretty well. We're going to wrap it up here. We're going to do the comments and then answer any questions that you might have over the topic of what we talked about tonight. But I think everything is pretty much straightforward because this is what we talk with our warriors, with our young ones, with our trackers. We share all this information. We teach this information. If you get that book, and I would say get that book, there's more information in there. Once you read it, you'll understand how important it is, and you'll be above anyone else in like the Bigfoot researchers and scientists and things like that. You'll have more information than anyone just by reading that book. And if you can get that documentary, you'll see how everything works together. That's a very important one. So that's the visual of the book, basically.
Mm-hmm. And we also show you just as important about the spiritual warfare and how to prepare yourself and how to know if there are chinks in your armor and what to do about that.
Yes, the book is very important. It has a spiritual part in it. It's got verses. It's got everything you need that goes with this and the beast in the field.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, we're going to do the comments and then we'll take questions.
We have the fan run. It's making my nose run.
That's what it was. I was getting a dry nose and my voice was acting up.
Judy Wheeler's with us.
Hey, Judy.
Life's Adventures. Jim is here with his sore ribs, but they are healing up. Glad you're here. He says, Jim says, "I'll clear the area. These things don't scare as much as I hate it when they surprise me." Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why people got to push their wood lines back.
And good hearing from you, Jim.
Sure is. He says ribs are healing good. Still can't yawn very much without screaming. Oh.
Ah, Jim. I feel that
I'm laughing
pain.
at him saying that,
Yeah,
not at you being hurt, not at all. That's awful.
I feel that pain though. I feel it. Oh.
Yeah, you made us all cringe when you said it.
And one of our trackers also has almost the same injury, but his is healing also.
Let's see. Tracker C says no yawning.
Hey, who was that?
He was talking about when Jim said it only hurts when he yawns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's especially when he yawns.
Well, the doctor would say, well, don't yawn. How about that?
Yeah. Life's Adventure says, don't do what we do.
Yeah.
Mistakes can be made. No one is perfect. Tracker C says there were two who were perfect, God and Jesus. And
hey, there you
Life's
go.
Adventure says true.
Says true.
Linda says, she's talking about the story of Gideon. She says, I love that story, including what the angel told him. The Lord is with you, mighty, courageous warrior. Even before he was one, he sees us in the future. Thank you.
Hey,
yes,
that's
exactly right.
Beautiful. And that is right. That is right.
He sees our potential.
Yeah.
Jim says he thought cedar and white birch, talking about the smudging, and don't make the mistake think that we're offering incense to foreign gods. It's not like that at all.
No. This is to get everything off of us.
Get the parasites off.
Yeah.
Jim says bend over and kiss your buns goodbye. He's talking about what were we talking about right then? I think it just I remembered it at the time I saw it roll up, but anyway. Bob says, great information, Jerry. I hear you describing your next book, The Way of the Warrior, Duties and Responsibilities.
Hey, that would be a good one too. A needed one also.
Jim says, how much is your book? It's $25 for the PDF.
Yep.
Blue Sky's here. Hey, Blue Sky.
Hey, Blue Sky. We forgot to say hello to you.
I said, I didn't see her earlier.
Well, we was also wanting to do a shout out to Blue Sky, which is also Katrina Starr. And also to one of our trackers, Parkway, who's at home right now. I was going to give him a shout out too.
Yeah. Judy Wheeler says, ouch. Darcy's
here?
in, didn't see you. She says, hello all.
All right, Darcy.
CT is here. Didn't see you so many. CT says she's working. And also up there was Oklahoma Adventures, Jose and Tanya.
Okay, Las Adventures, Oklahoma Adventures. Yeah. Jose and Tanya. Hola, ¿cómo está?
CT's working. CT's always working. She works so hard.
CT's always working. She'll
watch the program later.
Okay, thank you, CT.
And Jim says, giving good, solid information, Jerry, is great, but it's still up to the specific people to use it. Yeah. 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 For sure.
But the whole thing is, we got to make sure they have it. So if we can share this with everybody.
All we can do is deliver the messages.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you find it important to share to somebody, I would do that.
So go ahead and pray us out of here.
Yeah. I think we did. We had the tracker meeting this morning. Our next one also is Friday morning tracker talks at 9:30 a.m. Central Time Zone. That is also a private tracker meeting, but if you are a Patreon member, all the trackers will be there. But the Patreon members are people who want more information. And if you become a Patreon member, you are included in the morning tracker talks and any other information that we will send out to the trackers. You also get that information. But we also have these as well. But we will notify you not only through the Patreon, but through your email so that you don't miss any of the tracker meetings or any updates or information that we may be doing that we haven't done on here yet. And hold on, there was a Blue Sky.
Blue Sky says, not necessary. I have 4 channels, but I left the links in a video. Backup channels. Good. Yeah, you stay busy. Lost Adventures, yes. Judy's saying, and shout out to Parkway. Yeah, Judy says shout out to Parkway also. CT says, glad Parkway is feeling better. God is great.
Yes, yes. And it's great that we're talking about Parker right now. That's a great time for a prayer, and we can close out, and we'll see you for sure Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. for a morning Tracker Talks if you are a Patreon member or a tracker.
And welcome to Winslow, who is a new Patreon member.
Yeah, welcome to
Winslow. So if you're listening tonight, Winslow, we're glad you're here, and we hope to get to meet you at the next meeting. Jim says, my Men in Black live stream just posted after 3 days of me doing it. They censored me. Oh, wow.
Wow.
We'll check that out.
Sure will, Jim.
Blue Sky says, rewatching the documentary today. Awesome.
Oh, good, Blue Sky.
Good.
Oh, we're glad you're with us.
We sure are. Yeah. She's got a great perspective. Check out her channel. Okay.
Yeah, check out Blue Sky's channel, which is Katrina Star, and also check out Parkway. So like and subscribe to all their channels. Lost Adventures, Lost Oklahoma, TrackerA, LeadTrackerE, Kentucky Bigfoot. And hope we didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, if we did, we're sorry. If we did, y'all put them in the links if you know the good ones too. Okay, we'll go ahead and pray out of here. Lord, we pray for healing for Jim. We pray for healing for Henry, for all our friends in the different trackers that need different situations, for any of the person viewing right now that has a situation that we don't know about and they need your help, Lord. We cover them too. We pray for Parkway. We thank you for a mighty and miraculous healing that we claim and we expect, if it be your will, Father. We thank you very much for that. We thank you for this broadcast. We thank you for the open ears and the people that listen here tonight and that will share this information. Really motivate them, Lord, so that we can get more people prepared spiritually and physically for the things that you are warning. So many people are coming, and the things that are already here. Send more people so that we can keep sharing this information and get everybody ready to help you, Father, and to keep sharing the truth. We love you. We just, as always, we thank you. Keep us protected tonight. Keep everybody protected in their sleep. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, everybody.
Jim says, thank you, my family in Christ. Thank you.
All right, Jim. And CT says, excellent information. Amen. Blue Sky channel, yes.
Uh-oh, Slick Edge, you just walked in at the last minute. We're not leaving because you just got here. You're going to have to watch the recording, though. Slick Edge, well, they just got here, so I just want to say they just rolled up.
Oh.
So sorry about that. It's right at the end of the broadcast, and hope you come back for the next one and then watch the recording also. Okay. Everyone's just saying
amen.
Amen and God bless. Face green. What does it say? Face green. Let me look at mine. I'm having trouble reading that.
Smiling. Something with face. Great smiling face. A green face smile.
Oh, green face smiling. Okay, look on mine. It doesn't show up on there.
Oh,
it says face green smiling, but there actually is a little green face smiling on the phone. That's cute. Sorry about that, Slick Edge. Cute little emoji. Okay, Judy says good night.
And we're not leaving because you got here, Slick Edge.
No.
We're actually done. Yeah. Please rewatch and start again. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you as soon as possible with more information.
Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about with the path of the warrior.
Yes,
spiritual
much
warriors.
More we need to know.
This is just skimming the surface.
All right. Good evening, warriors.
God bless you all.
And we'll see you again soon.